She thought it was just a trash can, a petty act, small enough to brush off until it kept happening. Day after day, knocked over, scattered, and ruined. But it wasn't just about garbage. It was about control, power, and the quiet way prejudice hides in plain sight. Neighbors watched, some laughed, some looked away, and she endured. Until one decision turned the game upside down, exposing a truth the entire community tried to bury. What happens when the smallest act of cruelty uncovers the ugliest side of humanity? It started like any other week in the neighborhood. A quiet suburb where lawns were trimmed sharp, mailboxes polished, and rules were written in invisible ink, rules that weren't the same for everyone. For Maya, moving there was supposed to mean safety. She was a young black woman in her early 30s, proud of her first home purchase after years of saving. She worked long hours at the local hospital, often coming home exhausted but grateful. The neighborhood, with its tree-lined streets and families walking dogs in the evenings, seemed like the kind of place where life could finally slow down. At least, that's what she thought. Maya's routine was simple. Each morning before sunrise, she'd walk her golden retriever, a gentle companion who wore a bright red service vest. Then she'd head to work, her uniform neat, her smile patient, her mind already juggling the long shift ahead. When she came home at night, she liked to keep things tidy, her garden in order, her front porch swept, her trash can lined up neatly by the curb on collection days. It wasn't perfection she was chasing. It was dignity, a sense that she belonged, but belonging in that neighborhood was never going to be simple. It began with small things. The stairs when she first moved in, the way conversations seemed to hush when she walked past, neighbors who smiled thinly but never waved. She told herself it was just adjustment, people took time to warm up. Still, the silence carried weight. The kind of weight that pressed down until it felt heavy just walking to the mailbox. And then came the trash can. At first, she didn't think much of it. One morning, she stepped outside and saw her can tipped over, its contents spilling across the pavement. She sighed, cleaned it up, and went about her day. But the next week, it happened again. And again. Always the same. Always her can, while the rest stood untouched in neat little rows. It wasn't an accident. She knew that. The woman behind it wasn't a mystery either. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her, Mrs. Langley, though some called her the HOA Karen under their breath. Retired, sharp-eyed, and always watching. She had a way of making her presence known without saying a word. A car parked slightly off-center, grass a little too tall, curtains drawn past 10 p.m. Nothing escaped her scrutiny, and for reasons Maya could never quite understand, she seemed fixated on her. Neighbors noticed, but no one stepped in. Some whispered, others smirked. A few even enjoyed the spectacle, because for them it was entertainment. For Maya, it was humiliation, piled up one toppled trash can at a time. It would have been easy to ignore, just another petty act, the kind you sweep up and move on from. But deep down, Maya understood it wasn't about garbage at all. It was about sending a message that she wasn't wanted, that no matter how tidy her lawn or how kind her smile, she didn't fit their mold, and the message was being delivered, week after week, in the most public way possible. What Maya didn't know was that this small act of cruelty would become the spark to something bigger, that the quiet war waged at the curb would grow into something the entire neighborhood could no longer ignore, because sometimes the smallest cracks reveal the deepest fractures. And sometimes a trash can isn't just a trash can, it's the first sign of a storm no one sees coming. The weeks were on, and the trash can incidents grew bolder. At first, Maya thought she could manage it quietly, set her can out later, bring it in earlier, maybe avoid the target altogether. But no matter what she did, it was always the same. Knocked over, scattered, sometimes even dragged a few feet down the street as if paraded for everyone to see. It wasn't just inconvenience anymore. It was humiliation, public, deliberate, and relentless. One evening after her shift, she pulled into her driveway and noticed her trash wasn't just tipped, it was emptied out, strewn deliberately across her lawn. Chicken bones, coffee grounds, rotting fruit. And there, across the street, stood Mrs. Langley, arms folded, lips curled into something between a smile and a sneer. She didn't have to say a word. The message was clear. Maya's hands trembled as she cleaned it up. The smell, thick in the warm night air. She wanted to believe it was just about rules or standards or something small. But the truth pressed heavier each day. She was the only black homeowner on the block. The only one who faced this kind of treatment. And the neighborhood made sure. She knew it. She began noticing other signs. The way Mrs. Langley lingered near her driveway with a phone in hand, snapping pictures of her lawn. The way HOA notices arrived in her mailbox, warnings about improper can placement or yard maintenance, things her neighbors were guilty of too, but never punished for. And always, it was her name highlighted. That it was a campaign, carefully orchestrated, designed to grind her down. And yet, silence swallowed it all. Neighbors passed by, eyes darting, pretending not to see. A few even chuckled when her trash was spread out again, whispering under their breath. Maya wanted to scream, to demand answers, but she knew how the story could be twisted. Angry black woman, difficult neighbor, trouble. She had seen it before. In different ways, different places. But the storm was building. One Saturday morning, she stepped outside to find something different. Not just a trash can knocked over, but a message, spray painted across the side of the bin. Go back. 2 words, dripping in black paint, stark against the plastic. 2 words that weren't just about garbage, they were about her existence. Her chest tightened. The world tilted. This wasn't petty anymore. This was hate. Bare and unmasked. She reported it to the HOA. She even called the local police, but the responses were chilling in their dismissal. The HOA claimed they couldn't prove who did it, though everyone knew who patrolled the street with restless energy. The police shrugged, writing it off as vandalism without follow-up. To them, it wasn't a threat. To Maya, it was a warning. And warnings are never meant to be ignored. She started feeling it everywhere. The weight of eyes when she walked her dog. The sudden hush when she checked her mail. The sense that every step she took was monitored, measured, and catalogued. The once quiet suburb now pulsed with invisible tension, and she was the unwilling centerpiece. But Maya wasn't made of silence. She began to document everything: photos, dates, times, every knocked over can, every spray of trash across her yard, every notice in the mailbox. She logged it all, a record that told the story no one wanted to acknowledge. A story of quiet warfare disguised as neighborhood rules. And still, the cruelty escalated. Late one night, she heard a noise outside, a sharp crash, followed by muffled laughter. When she stepped onto the porch, her trash can lay shattered at the curb, its lid snapped clean off. And there, fading into the shadows, she caught the silhouette of Mrs. Langley slipping back into her house. Her heart pounded. Rage and fear collided inside her. She wasn't just dealing with a neighbor anymore, she was facing an enemy. One armed not with fists or weapons, but with something far more insidious. The power of perception, the privilege of being believed. The question was no longer if this would end, but how. And Maya knew, deep down, that the answer would come with a cost. Because when hatred goes unchecked, it doesn't stop at trashcans. It only grows darker. The breaking point came on a Thursday evening, trash collection day. Maya had decided she wouldn't stay silent anymore. Weeks of humiliation, warnings ignored, and slurs painted in the open had pushed her past the line of patience. She knew the risks. She knew how quickly her story could be flipped against her. But she also knew this: if she didn't stand her ground, the harassment would never stop. So she prepared. Her phone was set up on the porch, camera hidden but recording. Her documents and photos were ready, stored safely online. And when she wheeled her trash can to the curb that evening, she did it with deliberate calm. But calm has a way of provoking rage in those who thrive on intimidation. Not even an hour passed before the sound came: plastic clattering, metal scraping against pavement. Maya rushed to the window and saw it. Mrs. Langley, standing over the can, her foot pressed against its side, pushing until it tipped, spilling waste into the street. But this time, she didn't retreat into the shadows. She lingered. She wanted Maya to see. And Maya did. Stepping out onto the porch, heart pounding, she locked eyes with her tormentor. For a moment, the street seemed to hold its breath. Porch lights flicked on, curtains shifted, neighbors emerged, curious to watch what they thought would be another spectacle. Mrs. Langley's voice cut through the silence. "You people never learn, do you?" The words struck like a blow, the ugliness stripped of its mask. Gasps rippled through the small crowd gathering. Some reached for their phones recording. Others looked away, unwilling to confront what was now undeniable. Maya's chest tightened, but she stood tall. Every muscle in her body screamed to stay silent, to avoid giving them more ammunition. But silence had already cost her too much. She stepped closer, her voice steady but loud enough for every ear to hear. "Why is it always my trash can, Mrs. Langley? Why am I the only one getting notices, fines, warnings? Why am I the only one being told to go back?" The air vibrated with tension. Mrs. Langley's face twisted, her composure cracking under the weight of exposure. "Because you don't belong here," she spat, her voice trembling with fury. "You never did." The words hung heavy in the air, undeniable and vicious. The mask was gone, and with it, the neighborhood's excuse to look away. Phones lifted higher, lenses capturing every syllable. For Maya, time slowed. She felt the sting of every humiliation, every petty cruelty, every silent witness who turned away. And in that moment, she realized this wasn't just her battle, it was a mirror, reflecting the sickness buried in the neighborhood, the sickness no one wanted to acknowledge. Her heart thundered. She took another step forward, her voice sharp, unyielding. "I do belong here, and tonight, everyone will see exactly what you've been doing." Gasps again. Whispers. Neighbors shifting, some uncomfortable, some emboldened. The tension was electric, dangerous, unstoppable. Mrs. Langley lunged forward, grabbing the trash can and shoving it toward Maya. It toppled with a crash, garbage spilling at her feet. The crowd erupted shouts, phones raised, a cacophony of voices no longer silent, and in that chaos, Maya felt something shift. The fear that had gripped her for weeks loosened, replaced by a fire she could no longer contain. This wasn't humiliation anymore. This was evidence, proof. The cameras were rolling. The mask was gone, but as the shouting escalated, as neighbors took sides and voices clashed in the night, Maya knew this wasn't over. The fight had only just begun, because when truth is finally dragged into the light, it doesn't set you free immediately. It burns. When the trash can hit the ground that night, spilling its contents across the street, the silence of complicity shattered with it. What had once been whispered, hidden, or ignored was now undeniable. Phones recorded every second. Neighbors who had pretended not to see could no longer claim ignorance. The ugliness was out in the open, and there was no way to put it back in the shadows. Maya stood in the middle of it all, heart pounding, hands trembling, yet stronger than she had ever felt. For the first time, it wasn't her word against silence. It was her truth, caught on camera, undeniable, echoing in the faces of those who had looked away for too long. The days that followed were anything but easy. The video spread quickly through the community, replayed in living rooms, whispered about in grocery store aisles, argued over in hushed tones at HOA meetings. Some tried to spin it, painting Mrs. Langley as just stressed or misunderstood, but the words were there, clear, raw, and venomous, and no excuse could erase them. The HOA could no longer ignore it. Complaints, once brushed aside, now had weight. Policies were reviewed. Warnings against Maya were withdrawn. And though it wasn't framed as justice, it was a crack in the wall of silence. Mrs. Langley, once untouchable, found herself isolated, her authority fractured, her power reduced to whispers rather than commands. But for Maya, the scars remained. Each toppled can, each hateful word, each silent witness had left its mark. Belonging in that neighborhood no longer meant neat lawns and trimmed hedges. It meant survival. It meant knowing that even in the quietest streets, prejudice could roar louder than traffic. And yet, she stayed. Not because it was easy, but because leaving would have meant letting hate win. Her presence became an act of resistance. Her story, a mirror for others who had endured the same cruelty behind closed doors. She planted new flowers in her garden, lined her trash can proudly at the curb each week, and held her head high not as a victim, but as a survivor, because this was never just about a trash can. It was about power, about who gets to feel safe in their own home and who gets pushed to the margins. It was about the quiet ways racism seeps into daily life, not always with slurs shouted or fists raised, but with subtle, relentless acts meant to break someone down piece by piece. Maya's story is one of thousands. Across neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, the same tactics repeat, different faces, different details, but the same message whispered: you don't belong here. And too often, those whispers are allowed to echo unchecked until they grow into something impossible to ignore. Her stand, caught in that single moment of exposure, reminds us of something critical. Silence protects the aggressor, not the victim. Every neighbor who looked away, every authority who dismissed her complaints, helped build the stage for that climax. And every viewer who watches this story now has a choice: remain a bystander or speak when it matters most, because racism does not need a headline to destroy someone's peace. Sometimes it looks like a trash can knocked over again and again, until dignity lies spilled on the street. The question is, when you see it subtle, cruel, or bold, what will you do? Stay silent? Or finally break the pattern that allows it to thrive? The story of Maya isn't just hers. It's a reflection of a deeper truth that runs through countless lives. A truth that demands not just sympathy, but action. So, ask yourself, how many more stories like this will there be before we decide enough is enough?